the day, literally 24 hours after Bernie admitted to his son that he, had perpetrated a big fraud, he was in handcuffs. And, he was my neighbor here in North Carolina for a number of years before he passed, in prison. So look, the fact that SBF is on a press tour and not in a jail cell is incomprehensible.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have Mark Yusko giving us an update on the collapse of FTX, as well as the inside dealings that have went on behind the scenes. For the past few weeks, the crypto market has fared a degree of uncertainty that we rarely ever see. With Sam Bankman-Fried coming out in recent days to run damage control, it's produced even more questions. Mark Yusko discusses the corruption with FTX and the people connected to SBF that allowed him to move his company's money around virtually undetected for the last 3 years. We're getting new information now that not only exposes Alameda and the SEC, but now we have a money trail that leads directly to Ukraine. Let's listen to this interview with Mark Yusko as he gives us his reaction to investor fallout, and after the crash in Bitcoin and the crypto market, what we can expect next. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
Look, again, supposition, no direct evidence, but supposition that, look, we're in the third phase of what I'll call the 4 phases of digital asset adoption. So it's the famous Gandhi quote, right? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And, from 2009 to 15, when digital assets were created and Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin and then other assets followed, they ignore you, right? It was like a bunch of nerds and geeks playing with their magic internet money, whatever. Then they laugh at you. So 2016 to 21, a bunch of nerds and geeks playing with their magic internet money. Oh, look, one of these nerds and geeks actually named the Miami Stadium. Okay, big deal. 2022, we entered the then they fight you phase. And it started in May with the Luna debacle. And literally the morning after the Luna crash, Janet Yellen was on television saying, in prepared remarks, we need regulation of stablecoins. That was prepared, right? So something didn't fit, that she was so prepared in real time to make that statement. So then you have a number of intimations about regulation. And at the end of the day, well, and it actually can go back even further to the attacks on the lenders, Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, not the FTX rescues, but the attacks by the states and the SEC. And look, regulation has been used against disruptors for centuries. Right? It's not, in New York City, there was something called the red flag law, right? When the horse and buggy was transitioning to the horseless carriage, the horse and buggy manufacturers bribed the town council to pass a law that said, lobbying is just a fancy word for corruption. Yeah. And it sounds nice, but it's the same thing. And they passed a law called the red flag law. You don't see anyone in New York City walking in front of cars with a red flag anymore because it was stupid. And we don't see many horse and buggies except in Central Park. So regulation is a tool used by incumbents. And what does blockchain technology do? It replaces trust with truth. Well, who are the arbiters of trust today? Financial institutions, third-party middle people, $7 trillion industry. Okay, they would like to not be disrupted by DeFi and digital assets. So it's possible that some group of incumbents might have tried to lobby for regulation to delay, obfuscate, change the course of the disruption, perhaps. So that's what it's possible. Look, it's probably not a surprise that a kid, and I say a kid because he's younger than my son, a kid who really had no experience in lobbying, no experience in politics, no experience in running an exchange or a trading organization, no real work experience to speak of, a couple of years, suddenly becomes an expert in trust law and exchange operations and arbitrage trading, and becomes the largest donor to Joe Biden's election campaign, second largest donor last year to the Democratic Party. It's not shocking that his mother runs one of the largest PACs, secretive PACs, that the Silicon Valley elite use to kind of get around campaign finance laws. That's not surprising to anybody, perhaps. Is it a surprise that his father went to Yale Law School with a lot of people who are in government and perhaps is a known expert on trust law? Interesting. Advisor to some of the regulatory agencies. Caroline's father, the head of the economics department at MIT. Her dad was Gary Gensler's boss. All of these things just they paint a really interesting picture.
The level of trust that has been shattered for crypto at this point is unknown, but Yusko believes that there are many more to follow in succession of the crash of FTX. We're already starting to see markets in the red, and many analysts believe this is only the tip of the iceberg for what the last few weeks of the year will hold.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for the SEC. I think up to this point, and I will say up to this point, and particularly under Jay Clayton's leadership, they were measured, they were consistent. They consistently said, this is not a security, this is not a security, these other things may be securities. I thought they did a great job. They didn't come out and say, oh, everything's a security. They didn't say, oh, we're going to try to ban it like China did. So I actually think the SEC has done a really, really good job up to this point. But there's something funny about two kids with no experience and clearly no ability to run this complex business, then turning out that half of the companies that Alameda invested in are shell companies owned by SBF 100%. That's a funny thing. That's not, when I make an investment out of our venture fund, I don't own any piece of them ever. That would be a total conflict. So the fact that half of the 400 companies are shell companies that he owns just seems odd. And the other thing that's odd, I've been doing venture capital a long time, 35 plus years, got the white hair to prove it. Never, not once have I ever seen a situation where a person invest hundreds, $250 million in venture funds, and then the venture funds put $150 million into that person's company. Maybe it's happened and I just didn't see it, but I've never heard of that ever.
Mark says one thing that's extremely odd is FTX's relationship with Ukraine and Zelensky. There are verified transactions going straight from Ukraine and Zelensky to FTX, and then the money vanishes. Ukraine sending money to FTX is not conjecture because it's traceable and verified. Then there's the personal loan that SBF himself signed off on and the massive donations to the Democratic Party. The missing part now is how the money he got from customer accounts made it into Sam's pocket to make the political contributions. While that's unclear, FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried are both currently being investigated for fraud, which we'll be keeping an eye on. What do you guys think about Mark Yusko's interview on the collapse of FTX? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.